Oh, wow, okay. I didn't, yeah, I wasn't too sure. So I like you guys are on the right track. I like the builds quite a bit. Um, on my healing bar, I kind of went with, I wanted one AoE or DOT or HOT was the idea. One raw damage and one damage buff. Yeah, I know, right? I normally I normally don't talk. That's funny. Um, so rapid regen, that's my HOT on the healing. Uh, when it's morphed, it heals faster. Normally it's 20 seconds. The next one, this is my AoE. Um, the the B button is my instant heal. And then I've got like the same thought process as you guys. I had the I wanted a group buff and a self buff. So for self buff, I went with the Radiant Aurora, which buffs me and the group with the minor fort, minor endurance, minor intelligence, and increasing, as you can see. And then the group, what I found was this has a damage reduction by 8%. So for tanks that are stam based or for DPS that are stam based, this because old girl was telling that she was looking at this out of the Fighters Guild. So when I was saying well, the thing is for my DPS build, so you want to level, you want to have one of all of these abilities in your bar because you want to level them, obviously. But I needed something, so it was the same deal. It was I wanted to buff and debuff, and then have just a burn, if you will, a mana dump. So this buffs me with the Major Prophecy spell crit down at the bottom, and it pops 3 targets at the same time. So this is like my AoE pull. This is for single target, which on a boss fight essentially is what that's for. And this is a single target that knocks them back, which would also be my mana dump. And then again, the buff and debuff. And then I just use Solar Prism for the ultimate, the 2 different ultimates essentially. The healing one and the AoE one. And what I had found is after doing a lot of, like, I don't use this, so I don't spec into that, but getting the right bonuses from the gear that I've been given. That's why I was trying to find out if he's playing Magicka or Stam based, because if I'm giving him a bunch of light cloth, then that shit ain't gonna do him any good. But yeah, I've morphed, what she was saying is I've morphed a couple of, all the stuff I have I've pretty much morphed. Here, I'll just real fast. Well, I guess the gear, like I was saying, I went 5 into health initially because I was getting my ass kicked. But then everything else in the Magicka. The boon, the what I'm looking for is going to be increased maximum Magicka. So that's fine for the time being. But then you can see the self buffs, because some of the abilities, they give you, for just being slotted, this self buff gives me 10% right off the bat for just being in a slot. So that's why it's on both bars. So it doesn't matter which one, I still get that self buff. And then when I activate it for the group, is when everybody gets, I get 20% instead of 10. And then the timing on this ability is also the same timing on this ability. It's 16 seconds. This one's 10 seconds. So I know that if I pop both of these together in syncopation, they'll be coming off cooldown at the same time. Let me go find something to kill right quick. Where am I? But I wanted to keep it like old girl has 3 DPS abilities and then go and buff, self-buff, whatnot. I wanted to keep it super simple. One of each. One group buff, which is that right bumper of mine, that AoE, the one from the Fighters Guild that gives you the damage reduction, and then that self-buff is on the left bumper. So it'd be debuff it, hit it with that to get the spell crit. That does a nice knockback. Just... And then this is that heal over time, this is that AoE heal. This is the instant heal, the B bumper. If I ever wanted to, that's that AoE damage reduction and then stam regen for the tank. So yeah, you guys have the right idea, like, and that's the one thing I do enjoy about the game is the skills are so versatile as far as how you want to play, you know what I mean? You can, like, all 3 of us have very different builds, but under the same concept. Now, I didn't go, as you can tell, because the truth is I looked at a lot of these passive abilities. The only thing I've got out of my destruction staff is the weakness, the damage or the spell resistance. I appreciate that, because that's the, like, I'm just now getting around to figuring out that I can use all those recipes I've been selling. Whoops-a-daisy. But yeah, out of the destruction staff, that's the only thing I use is the debuff on boss fights and or just general enemies. And then same with the healing staff. I use just 2 abilities out of this one, the healing springs and rapid regen. But then on the passives, like, I don't ever really attack with my healing staff, plus 1.5 seconds, that's just not enough time, you know? So I just use passives that were directly, that didn't require any snapshotting or micromanagement of, like, it's pretty straightforward. You hit them with the 2 debuffs. This is a buff and one's a debuff. That's going to give me the spell crit, that's going to reduce their spell resistance, you know? Now ultimately there's an ability here in two-handed that I'd like to get. This one here. So I'm going to be leveling up two-handers at some point and respecking, because then I would use this as a DPS self-buff, plus it gives you that nice bonus of a heal. But I wouldn't be using a two-hander, I'll be using the destructive staff. But I really have my eye on this ability here. Because look at that, weapon damage by 20% for 30 seconds. That bananas! That's a huge, like, that's the I win button, is what that is. You get a damage buff for 20 seconds. I could only imagine. I've got to figure out some sort of burst rotation to stun something with the spear. Like to pop this ability, stun something with the spear, debuff them, and then have a go fuck yourself killer instead of so I'm gonna have to drop one of the abilities. Probably be that AoE. Probably be this one. I'll drop this one for like a heavy hitting kill ability. When I do finally get momentum. But yeah, the other thing I was looking at that I kinda... This is for PvP. I think this is gonna be something I'm gonna want. Because that's like the... That's kinda like my oh shit button. Is what I'm thinking this one's gonna be. So I've got a go fuck yourself, I win button, and an oh shit, you're kicking my ass button. So that's why I was saying you might want to start leveling up the heavy armor. Because I think I'm going to be trying to incorporate that into my like DPS ability. Because right now all my gear is set up for healing. But simply because for endgame PvP, I'm going to want some of these. Maybe not all of these because you have to have 5 or more. Like those don't appeal to me. I'm not going to be wearing 5 or more. But these other 3 with like 2 or 3 pieces will definitively increase your survivability. So the oh shit button and the I win button. And I'm getting my ass kicked by something now. Yeah, the instant heal, the AoE heal, and a little heal over time, the group buff. Yeah, you're definitely doing it right then. So for my DPS, the increase the spell penetration, I just found that the sharpened on it to be just so OP. I'm not rocking any of that, but oops. The offhand is the healing staff. I'm using a couple of pieces of light, which I really want to swap out for something different, but then I'm using 5 pieces of sanctuary, which increases your healing received by you, received by 12% for you and your group within 10 meters. So as long as I'm close to you, you get 12% healing from my heals done. And it's all increased max magicka. I want to say the one that I'm looking to try and do is prayer, because it gives you a damage shield for 6 seconds. So I'm setting up for pretty much all healing. But the 5-piece sanctuary is what I've got for right now, which... Then I got lucky with a couple of decent rings here. Speaking of which, I need to charge this. Alright, there we go. Is, Brownie and Party? Okay.
Going back to party?
Yeah.
Get a hard start.
Alright, I need to kill this stream.